Hey everyone, it's Casimus Lego, and welcome to the 5th entry in my custom Lego Harry Potter minifigure series. And today we'll be taking a look at 5 brand new minifigures from Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I've got a great selection of minifigures this time, being a new variant of Harry Potter, Sirius Black finally given the proper custom minifigure treatment, Aurors and Order of the Phoenix members Nymphadora Tonks and Kingsley Shacklebolt, and finally, the foul, evil old gargoyle herself, Dolores Jane Umbridge. I love how these minifigures turned out, and I can't wait to show them off. So without any further ado, let's get a close-up look at each of these custom LEGO minifigures. First up is Harry Potter, and being in his 5th year at Hogwarts, I've of course given him the standard LEGO minifigure legs. For this new variant of Harry, I've made him in the gray hoodie as seen in the Order of the Phoenix film. I really like the simplicity of the minifigure, which is thanks to the semi-purist approach. LEGO has produced this outfit as an official LEGO minifigure, and I debated using it, but to be honest, I don't really like the torso on that figure, so I just decided to paint it myself. I painted the exposed red shirt underneath and the hoodie details, which includes the pockets and the zipper. It's really nothing special. On the arms, I've painted the darker cuffs, which is accurate to the costume, and meanwhile the back has no painted detail. The legs, like the torso, feature minimal detail. They are standard dark blue LEGO legs with some shoes painted in dark gray with white soles. Obviously, the head is an official LEGO head print, which has a great likeness to Daniel Radcliffe. In fact, this head was the only exclusive piece that I decided to carry over from that official minifigure I mentioned earlier. The kind expression on the front is a little bit relaxed, unlike how Harry behaves in the book and in the film, but I wanted to use this head particularly because of the alternate expression. Also, the hair choice is obvious for me, featuring the film-accurate dark brown color. Harry is armed with his trusty wand, and for the first time, I've painted his wand's unique design. It's painted in nougat brown with a dark line separating the two layers. It may look like it's lacking detail, but I think it perfectly captures the look of the prop in the films. You'll see a lot more custom painted wand designs later in this review. Harry Potter in his 5th year was a very straightforward minifigure to make, and being my first custom Harry figure to feature the standard LEGO minifigure legs, it's truly a step towards a complete collection of minifigures. Next is Harry's godfather, Sirius Black, finally given the proper attention in custom LEGO minifigure form, as I really enjoy his character in the wizarding world. Now last year, I made Sirius in Azkaban prison robes, but that was merely a semi-purist minifigure. For the Order of the Phoenix project, I went all out with a custom painted fabric jacket, a brand new hairpiece, and his own unique painted wand design. I'm very pleased with the final result, especially how the jacket turned out, so let's talk about it. The jacket is, of course, painted fabric and features a really slick pinstripe pattern. The first obstacle was picking the colors for the base and for the stripes themselves. To me, the jacket looked to be more of a brown color, but I went ahead and painted it in olive green as that was the closest color I had on hand, while the stripes are painted in dark yellow. So yes, I suppose the detail is fairly straightforward, just a little insane. Thankfully, I only had to paint the lines on the jacket itself, the additional 3D details, and the arms, so I didn't have to paint a full suit like I did on Wormtail. I'm very proud of the lines, especially the spacing between each one. As you can imagine, it was extremely tedious making sure they were all consistent and clean along the entire fabric piece, but it was totally worth it in the end. I've also included additional fabric 3D pieces, which include the collars and the pockets with the pinstripe design continued over them. Underneath this fabric jacket is another piece of fabric depicting his black vest. I did my best to replicate the speckled design, which is completely random by the way. The chain is painted, as well as the vest buttons and the copper locket towards the bottom of the vest. And underneath that is the torso with its own painted design, with more fabric pieces for the shirt collars. As I'm sure you can imagine, I put a lot of time and effort into this portion of the figure too. The pinstripe design continues onto each of the arms, that being another really time-consuming effort. All in all, the entirety of the painted pinstripe design took me about a week to finish, whenever I had the time to paint them, of course. While I didn't paint the design on the legs, I've substituted a custom design for an existing LEGO print. As a matter of fact, these legs were produced for Peter Pettigrew, the friend who betrayed Sirius, and I've added them here because I like how the pinstripe print keeps the consistent look of the upper half of the minifigure. All I've done to these legs was add the painted shoes. Since the LEGO Harry Potter line was rebooted, LEGO has produced multiple Sirius Black minifigures, each featuring a convincing likeness to Gary Oldman. But my favorite is still the original print from 2019's Expecto Patronum set, and I've done no modifications to either of the expressions. The hairpiece, however, is a big upgrade from that original minifigure. This element debuted last year, and it bears a striking resemblance to Sirius's long wavy hair. Earlier this year, LEGO used this hairpiece in dark brown on their new Igor Karkaroff minifigure, and as soon as I saw it, I knew that it would be absolutely perfect for Sirius. Now, I couldn't get my hands on that minifigure, but it's totally fine. I've just used the same element from a more available minifigure, that being from a LEGO Friends mini doll by the way, and painted it in my own dark brown with an additional light brown wash to add some highlights. Like I said, it looks absolutely perfect for the minifigure. It's much more accurate than what LEGO has continued to opt for on their official Sirius Black minifigures. As mentioned at the beginning of this segment, Sirius has his own custom painted wand. The design is a simplified version of the pattern engraved on replicas of the prop in the film, and it still looks really nice. I've enjoyed painting these simple wand designs on these latest custom LEGO Harry Potter minifigures, and I'm really looking forward to making more. On top of the amazing hair mold and the intricately painted pinstripe pattern, Sirius Black is my favorite minifigure in this project, and I'm very proud of how he came out. Here is the young metamorphosis auror, Nymphadora Tonks, or as she would rather be called, just Tonks. Now, I wasn't quite sure how she was going to turn out, but as a matter of fact, I'm really fond of this figure especially. That's thanks to the base black fabric coat she has on. You know that I prefer using base fabrics when I can, and for Tonks, I even managed to paint some detail directly over it, which I've never attempted before making this minifigure. The painting that I'm referring to is the buttons on the coat and the stitched lining that I picked out in light gray. It came out very clean, which is a huge relief for me. The fabric coat, of course, wraps around the entirety of the minifigure. You can see some additional 3D elements, including the collars of the coat and the bag, which was made from rubber actually, and then the latch is just part of a chain that I cut up. Specifically, I love how all the buttons turned out. Underneath the coat is a fully painted torso to show off the red and black striped top that she wore, and also the gray hoodie. I even painted the scrappy necklace. I'm very grateful the black fabric that I use matches LEGO's black color, as it allows me to cut down on painting, keeping the figure in better condition in the long term. The arms are a little bit different from each other. There are two details that the arms do share, in fact. The first being some exposed skin on the black gloves, and the other detail are the 3D draw straps, which I've represented by the use of some black thread. I think it's really cool to include these 3D pieces. Speaking of which, I wanted to use some more of that black thread down here on her boots to represent the untied laces that hang around, but unfortunately they didn't really work out so well. Either way, the painting on the boots came out really nice. I'm especially fond of the painted straps. You can see that the boot tongues are made from E-tape, which adds nicely to the 3D elements throughout the minifigure. I used LEGO's standard dark brown legs, and then I finished them up by painting some exposed skin, as seen through the ripped leggings on the lower left side of the minifigure. For the head, I didn't end up using a LEGO official head print featuring a duck beak or pig snout, but I think this one is just as good. It came from the March Harriet minifigure from the LEGO Batman movie collectible minifigures line, and I think it does a perfect job of bringing the spunkiness that actress Natalia Tena brought to the character. I left it mostly as is, but I did remove the mole on the right side of the head, and I painted the lips in a darker pink color. The hair choice itself is nothing special. It's the same LEGO piece LEGO themselves have used on official Tonks minifigures, but what makes it super unique is that subtle fade effect from violet to magenta. I did my best to blend them together, and I love how it turned out. Like the previous minifigures in this project, Tonks is armed with a custom painted wand design. It may look simple, but I really despise painting around circular LEGO objects, so her wand was actually the hardest for me to make, believe it or not. But in essence, it's just a series of rings painted around the wand, which is accurate to the prop in the film. But yeah, that was Tonks. I'm glad I had the chance to make this character as she appears in the Order of the Phoenix. I have a long way to go before I make every single member of the Secret Order, but the inclusion of Tonks really helps me out. Kingsley Shacklebolt is next. He is also an Auror, one of the most powerful as a matter of fact. I absolutely love this character's calm and controlled presence, and his unwavering support for Harry as well. Of course, many years later, he will eventually become the Minister of Magic, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Simply put, I really wanted to add this character to my custom LEGO Harry Potter minifigure collection and get a chance to recreate those royal blue robes. To do them justice, I used a lot of dark blue fabric. I made the basic robes which wrap around the torso of the minifigure, the sleeves, and I even added the collar by use of a separate light blue fabric, which looks pretty awesome, even on its own, as both sections are just one large piece that drapes over the top of the torso. Now, I didn't paint any detail onto the dark blue robes, but that's where the gold and blue linings really come in handy. I made these from E-tape, and as you can see, they both aren't just a straight line, they actually curve slightly toward the bottom, which allows the detail of the gold lining peeking from around the folds in the fabric to be seen. It's a really cool effect that I'm super pleased with. Beneath the dark blue robes, you can see the purple suit with some painted detail, notably the half blue, half purple design on the painted fabric. I also painted a small amount of detail on the top of the torso peeking out, but obviously there isn't much to see there. On both arms, I made the cuffs out of E-tape. For whatever reason, these two cuffs were the most difficult parts to paint on the minifigure. You'd think it would be the intricately detailed cap, but no, it was these little guys. I think it was because of my gold paint, which was always very tricky to outline. So while I was creating these, I kept making mistakes and had to restart. It was definitely a few hours of tedious work. Now, before I move on to the second most time-consuming part of making Kingsley, I'll quickly show off his shoes. Alright, so for the cap, I knew I wanted to make it as detailed as I could at this scale. And so, I decided to use the official LEGO printed Kingsley Shacklebolt cap piece, as it already had some diamond details printed on, saving me some time in the end. What I did was paint the blue color around those diamonds, and then add the additional details that you see. Obviously, it was a lot, but not too difficult for me. I'd say the most challenging aspect was just trying to get an equal size of each of those rounded pattern elements, and I think I did a pretty nice job. I love how you can see the pattern wrap around the hat on all sides, no matter where you look from. Beyond that, I painted some additional gold dots above each small diamond to try and balance the upper half of the cap with the lower half, just because it was looking rather under-detailed in comparison. And to finish off the minifigure, I used the head print used on the same collectible minifigure. I wouldn't say it has the best likeness to George Harris, but it totally works. Also, I didn't know this before working on the minifigure, but Harris actually played Captain Katanga in Raiders of the Lost Ark, whose name later made it into Star Trek, so that's pretty cool. Finally, I did make a wand for Kingsley as well, and you can probably just barely make out the black details against the dark brown paint. Yeah, there wasn't as much detail for me to paint here. It was certainly the easiest to make, but still a great addition to my custom LEGO Harry Potter wands. So that was everything for Kingsley Shacklebolt. I'm very happy I was able to include him in this project. I think we all know Lord Voldemort is truly an evil being, but Dolores Jane Umbridge from the Ministry of Magic is just below the Dark Lord, and I think just about everyone who has read the books or seen the films can agree, we absolutely despise her. There are many actor and actress performances that are absolutely perfect for the characters they portray, and I must say, Imelda Staunton as Umbridge has to be one of them. So I knew for a fact to represent this film, I obviously had to include her in the project. As for what she'd look like, well, I had a ton of outfits to choose from, but I settled on the minimally detailed minifigure that you see in front of you. So yes, the torso is basically just a pink torso with some 3D fabric pieces. I specifically really like the magenta collar piece that I added to the minifigure, as like on Kingsley, each section is connected as one large piece that I glued to the front and back of the torso. I even sculpted the badge out of green stuff, as you can't really buy Procreate anymore. You may have noticed the texture on the magenta fabric is different from my usual fabric material. That's because I used the same fabric that I used for the custom waist piece, which was made from a base pink fabric that I think matches pretty well with the pink color of the torso. Dolores Umbridge is a small toad-like woman, so it made sense to visually represent that by giving her LEGO medium posable legs, and then I painted the skin tone and the pink high heels. I used more of that pink fabric on the arms, and also painted them in magenta as I did for the collar. Now let's talk about the head and hair, both being perfect elements to incorporate on my own custom minifigure. I prefer the head print from the 2018 LEGO Dolores Umbridge minifigure, as both expressions are perfect, particularly the alternate expression. Just look at that face. Yikes. Of course, this head print pairs wonderfully to this very rare, expensive LEGO hairpiece. Okay, so here's the deal. This hairpiece debuted on the original Dolores Umbridge minifigure way back in 2007, and has only ever been used on one other minifigure, making it command a stupid price on the secondhand market. However, I'm only going to make Umbridge just this one time, and I want her to be the best that she can be, so I was able to justify acquiring the piece as it looks 100% more accurate to Staunton's hairstyle in the film. But yeah, that was a hard pill to swallow. For the last custom painted wand on these minifigures, I did something a little bit special for Umbridge. In the film, the wand looks to be made up of several spherical shapes with a purplish gem in the center, so I wanted to try and replicate that, but on a much simpler scale. What I did was cut a LEGO Harry Potter wand in half and glued on the sphere end of a LEGO antenna piece. Then I capped it off by gluing the end of the wand that I cut off back in place to form this custom made wand, and of course gave it its own paint job. I think it came out very nicely. Giving her this totally uniquely constructed accessory, I think, makes up for the simplistic minifigure. I also gave Umbridge a LEGO 1x1 tile print of an envelope, which could either be a letter confiscated from a student or a message that she's sending to the ministry. All in all, this Dolores Jane Umbridge custom LEGO minifigure is a fantastic addition to represent the 5th entry in the Harry Potter series. And with that, that was all of the minifigures I've made from the Order of the Phoenix. Thank you very much for checking out these minifigures with me today, and now we can go ahead and conclude this review video. Alright, that'll be it. Thank you very much for checking out these custom LEGO Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix minifigures. If you have any questions, thoughts, or critiques, feel free to let me know by writing a comment down below, and I'll try to get back to you. Also, if you're interested, be sure to follow my social media platforms, where I post updates, behind-the-scenes looks at future projects, and individual photos of all of my recent minifigures. Links to my social media will be down below. I'm about to start work on my next project, which will be Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, and I hope you guys will be looking forward to those. As always, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.